Hello, welcome to a special spring break edition of Whether or Not. We've got a great show lined up for you today, as well as Michael Priante here with a feature on an exciting behind-the-scenes look of how we bring you Whether or Not each and every week, and many nature in the news stories, including some about space, the Iditarod, and giant snowmen. We'll also be exploring a new part of our Whether or Not set here in the studio, so sit back, relax, because Whether or Not starts right now. Hello, thank you for joining us here on Whether or Not. I'm your host, Brian Mastro.
And I'm your co-host, Michael Spagnolo. It's been spring break for the Penn State students here at the University Park campus. Some of them have been going to take some trips out to the Intermountain West to enjoy some skiing or the nicer weather down in Florida, Caribbean, or Mexico.
Yeah, and here in State College, we've also had some warmer weather, although we do hope all of those students who travel, they're having fun and are staying safe. We've got the whole crew here for you at Whether or Not today. We're hoping to bring you a great show with a variety of news stories. So sit back because Nature in the News starts right now. Astronaut Scott Kelly has returned home after spending a year aboard the International Space Station. The main goal of the mission was to study how the human body, mind, and spirit responds to extended time in space. Kelly will spend his next year here on Earth while being observed by NASA doctors to see if his body negatively responds to being back on Earth. Upon returning to his home planet, Kelly was quoted as saying, "I feel good." However, some effects were immediately noticeable, including him growing 2 inches and his balance being off upon returning to the higher gravity levels here on Earth. In the short term, Scott Kelly will experience a messed up internal body clock and general weakness. NASA hopes the Year in Space project will pave the way for longer future space flights. Longer flights are necessary if NASA hopes to achieve interplanetary or intergalactic space travel.
The Iditarod, a close to 1,000-mile sled dog race through the Alaskan wilderness, takes place yearly. And this year, unfortunately, the weather has not cooperated. While temperatures have been near average in Anchorage, the race's starting point, snowfall rates this year have been much below average. Only 17.9 inches of snow have fallen since December 1st, and this is well below the usual seasonal total through March 1st of around 60 inches. To prepare the streets of Anchorage for the start of the race, snow has been shipped in by the trainload from Fairbanks to cover the city streets. While trail conditions are still rugged, especially on the southern half of the trail, they're reportedly better than the last 2 years. Snowfall amounts and snowpack depth in Nome, the trail's finish line, are near normal, so trail conditions will improve as the sled dog teams make progress northward.
Penn State is receiving its last ever shipment of coal in March. Come April, the university will be switching to natural gas. The switch to natural gas will cut emissions by about 50%, which the university says is the equivalent of taking more than 12,000 cars off the road, which is in addition to the decrease in truck traffic associated with not receiving any more coal deliveries. The university also says this will be cutting costs across the board as well. The plant on West Campus will be burning its last bit of coal in mid-April before making the full transition shortly thereafter. To accommodate the increased demand, the Columbia Gas Company of Pennsylvania has constructed a new gas pipeline through campus to provide natural gas to the plant in West Campus. Penn State hopes this is only the beginning in providing cleaner energy to the campus and is exploring other forms of alternative energy for the future.
A meteor was spotted over the night skies of Scotland earlier this week. Most just spotted the bright flash that lit up the night sky, while some reported a loud rumbling from a sonic boom caused by the meteor. The meteor never impacted the ground and no damage was reported. The meteor was estimated at only around 3 inches in size when it exploded some 20 miles above the Earth's surface, with most of the meteor burning up in the upper parts of the atmosphere. This was not the only meteor to be heard recently. At the end of February, a meteor exploded over the southern Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Brazil.
I'm here on the 6th floor of Walker Building here on Penn State's main campus, and right behind me are the two double doors that lead into our excellent weather center, and this is really where the magic happens on Whether or Not. We collaborate here, we work on a lot of things that go into the show, and a lot of processes are done to get this show up and running, to bring you the latest forecasts and excellent nature in the news stories. So I'm going to be taking you on a wild journey through the different steps that we take to get Whether or Not running. So come along and we'll enter the Weather Center and show you what we do first. Here we are now in 607 Walker, which is a computer lab here in the Walker Building within the Weather Center, and we have many computers here which we use to not only look up important news stories which are featured in our Nature in the News segment, but also to look at many computer models that we analyze, such as the GFS or even the European model. And all this information gets analyzed by our forecaster who is working for the show. He takes that information, puts it into a very sophisticated weather graphic system called WSI, which is what you see when we do the forecast. And that gets taken down into the studio where it goes through one of our computer systems, and then that gets projected into our show. So now we're going to take a look into our studio, and Brian's going to give you an inside look at what we do to film Whether or Not.
So we're here in the video control room at the Walker Building at Penn State University, and in here a lot of hard work goes in to bring you Whether or Not each and every week. Utilizing this cutting edge technology of the TriCaster, we are able to bring you the visuals that you see each and every week here on Whether or Not, and we're even using this for some potential future expansions with even more new visuals as well, going into future episodes of Whether or Not. So back in here behind the scenes, a lot of hard work that brings you what you see in the studio each and every week. Hello, welcome to Whether or Not. I'm your host, Brian Mastro. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We have many exciting nature in the news stories, and as always, your latest weekend forecast. So sit back, relax, because Whether or Not starts right now. So this is actually one of my favorite components of making Whether or Not on a weekly basis. Recently, back in October, we switched over to a virtual set, which is still the same desk and same space that we used for our old set, but now thanks to the latest green screen technology and video production technology, we were able to bring you a new, sleek, modern, and beautiful looking set each and every week here on Whether or Not. And going into your day for Sunday, we will have a low pressure system setting up over the Great Lakes region, and that will be pushing some rainfall into western areas of Pennsylvania throughout the day on Sunday. Now what you're seeing here is actually the green screen that is actually what is behind us. We don't have the graphics directly behind us. However, we can see what's actually being broadcast on some side monitors and in the camera right in front of us, so we will be able to know what the graphics are saying, and that way we can relay that information to you. And now we will go back upstairs to see the final part of production for Whether or Not.
So now that we're done filming down in the studio, we come up to the 6th floor of Walker Building where we finish the post-editing process. We have two computers here who do the dirty work. The computer to our right has the WSI graphic system. These are the graphics and images you see behind the forecaster, just as you saw Brian do a mock forecast down in the studio. These graphics are lined up in a very similar way to how PowerPoint presentations are created, and the graphics are easily customizable, which makes the forecasting presentation smooth and streamlined. The next computer to my right holds two important programs as well for the editing process of our video. One of them is iMovie, which is again a very simple program that many of you have used at home if you have a Macintosh. This is what we use to export our features. When the features are done, we again take all the video that we filmed downstairs in the studio, along with the forecast that we also filmed in the studio, and that gets put in another very powerful program called Adobe Premiere. It's a professional program that we use to edit all of our video together. We take the video and audio from the Nature and the News stories, the Almanac, the Weather Whiz quiz, and our forecast, and that gets all together in a simple video that we check for errors every single week. We take a lot of effort here on Whether or Not. We put a lot of hard work and dedication every Wednesday, even with our busy schedules. And from all of us here at Whether or Not, I just want to say and give a thank you to CNET, all our viewers out there, for giving us the chance and watching our shows every week. And again, a special thanks to the Penn State Department of Meteorology and our advisors, Dr. John Neese and Marissa for giving us the opportunity to do this show every single week. We have a lot of fun with it, and again, we have a lot of busy work to do along with it. So again, we thank you for watching and hope that you tune in next week. For Whether or Not, I'm Michael Priante.
Thanks for that, Mike. We hope all of you enjoyed that behind-the-scenes look of what goes into making Whether or Not here in the Walker Building each and every week.
We have a whole new set of nature in the news stories lined up from the rest of our crew, Marissa, Ann, and Mike, and a brand new part of our studio here in the Walker Building.
A sculpture started out of boredom and a blizzard. A year later, a Long Island family built a 14-foot snowman in their front yard. It's the Forgo family's tradition to build a snowman every year and dress the snowman up with entertaining outfits. But just before the blizzard of 2015, the family decided to build the largest snowman they could possibly make. The ultimate goal of the project was to just keep him alive as long as possible. They created a Facebook page called Save the Snowman, which has over 4,000 likes thus far. The original snowman from last year's winter lasted until mid-April. The family kept a piece of the original snowman in order to reincarnate him for this winter. The family does their best in keeping the snowman alive during the warm and rainy days by sheltering the snowman in tarps and umbrellas in order to keep him dry. Even though it takes hours to help him stay alive and well, the family says it's all about how happy the snowman makes their fellow friends and neighbors.
After years of searching, astronomers finally track an elusive cosmic radio signal to its home, a galaxy about 6 billion light years away. The bursts typically last for just a few milliseconds and never repeat. In April of 2015, a radio telescope in Australia recorded a burst and alerted other observatories. The position led researchers to an elliptical galaxy found with a telescope in Hawaii. Scientists believe the eruption might have come from a collision between white dwarfs or neutron stars. These stars are found in the host galaxy's array of aging stars. This signal is a discovery that offers a clue to matter hiding in space between galaxies.
Climate change is not only affecting our global environment, but it is also having a huge impact on global health. With weather extremes becoming the normal and records being broken every year, the lives of humans are also changing. These consequences to the environment are affecting our ability to grow food, access clean water, and work safely within the elements. While the climate is changing, prosperous first world countries, such as the United States, will continue to prosper while many third world countries will suffer tremendously. These countries will be even more prone to the public health issues, such as waterborne illnesses, malnutrition, respiratory and allergic disorders, and also many mental health issues. So not only should we address the growing concern of climate change and its effects on our planet, we should also bring up the effects that it will have on millions of lives throughout different types of countries all across the globe that do not have these luxuries and utilities to recover from many extreme natural disasters.
Thanks to the rest of the team for those nature in the news stories. Now, it's been a little bit easier to get up in the morning to get to my 8 a.m. that I have this semester because the sun has been coming up earlier and earlier each and every day.
Yeah, if you've been out there in the afternoons, you've also noticed the sun has been staying out a little bit later as well if you've been out there enjoying the nice weather we've been having recently, because we've been gaining a lot of sunlight recently, which brings us to our Weather Whiz quiz, which was to the nearest minute, how much daylight do we gain during the month of March here in State College? Was it A, 24 minutes, B, 37 minutes, C, 68 minutes, or D, 84 minutes? If you guessed D, 84 minutes, you are correct.
1 hour and 24 minutes of daylight are added to the day during the month of March. March 20th this year will be the vernal equinox, when the sun is directly over the equator, bringing 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness to the equatorial region, and it will mark the start of astronomical spring.
I'm looking forward for those days to continue to get longer all the way up until the summer solstice, which comes to us in June, and also looking forward to that warmer weather. That's all we have for you today on Whether or Not. I'm your host, Brian Mastro.
And I am your co-host, Michael Spagnolo. Have a great rest of the day.